Hello fellow video game collectors, and welcome to the 4th episode of my quest for N64, where I am trying to get a complete loose N64 collection. There are 296 US titles, and I am currently at 162 games with 134 left to go. All the games that I'm going to show you today came from my local video game shop, Edward McKay's. Number 163 is Superman 64, which I got complete in the box for only $12. Yes, that's right, I bought this game complete in the box. It comes with the instruction manual, all of the inserts inside of the box, as well as the comic book that was exclusive to this game. So for only $12, I couldn't say no to that. And yes, this game is as terrible as everyone says it is. Superman 64 is just incredibly broken. It's by far the worst game for the Nintendo 64 system. The majority of the game is about flying through a series of rings within a certain time limit. But that sounds a lot easier than it actually is. The controls are impossibly bad, they just don't work well at all. Superman accelerates really quickly, and when he goes too fast, he is just uncontrollable. You have to keep feathering the accelerate button or use the brake button a lot. Surprisingly, the game will actually let you miss a few of the rings. But if you miss too many rings, you'll instantly fail the course and have to start the series of rings all over again. And if Superman collides with anything, then he will pretty much come to a complete stop. And if he happens to fall to the ground, then good luck getting him to quickly go back up in the air to fly again. You also can't just take the course of rings at a slow, leisurely pace either, because you are given barely just enough time to go through all of them at a moderately fast speed. After you complete a set of rings, you get almost no time to figure out what in the world you're supposed to do next. The game gives you a prompt with only a few seconds to react to it and to perform the correct task at hand. And if you fail, then guess what? You don't get a checkpoint to the mission, you have to fly through all of the rings again, just to get another shot at it. The first mission has you pick up 2 different cars and throw them. That's it, but you're only given 6 seconds to figure out what to do and how to do it. And if you manage to successfully complete that, then you get to fly through even more rings. You know, this game should just be called Super Ring 64, or maybe even Sonic 64.
That's no good.
After flying through another set of rings, you'll get to the second mission, which wants you to pick up the police car in front of you and fly it to the end of the road. But I just couldn't get Superman to do it, because the controls in this game are just complete trash. I kept failing, and I got tired of flying through the insufferable amount of rings again, so I just simply gave up. Overall, this game is a glitchy mess. Don't ever bother with this game unless you're trying to get a complete N64 collection. Superman 64 just simply sucks. Number 164 is S.C.A.R.S, which I paid $6.40 for. S.C.A.R.S is an abbreviation for Supercomputer Animal Racing Simulator. This is a combat racing game sort of like Mario Kart with various power-ups that you can pick up throughout the tracks. All the cars look like different animals, hence the name of the game. Each car has different stats, so you can pick the one that matches your playstyle. The stats can affect how the car accelerates, how fast it can go, how well it handles, how much armor it has, and how powerful its weapons are. The point of the game is to race in the Grand Prix to unlock new tracks and cars. You challenge other cars, and if you beat them, you get to unlock their car. It has various cups for you to race through. You have to beat a specific car in the first race to qualify and to continue to the rest of the races in the cup. Otherwise, you have to retry the race again in order to qualify. You drive around and pick up power-ups, which can be either weapons that shoot missiles, throwable boomerangs, a ticking bomb that you pass around, protective shields, or even electrical traps that you or other drivers can jump over. The game is extremely chaotic. It's easy to go from first place and then be knocked back a few places, and then to get back into first place and then be knocked back again. This really reminds me of Mario Kart in that sense. Additionally, handling your car can be a bit tricky, and if you happen to hit any wall or edge of the track, your car immediately slows down to a crawl. Overall, I found S.C.A.R.S to be a pretty enjoyable game. It's not quite as polished as Mario Kart 64, but it's a decent alternative if you're looking for another combat racer to play with your friends. Number 165 is BustaMove 2, which I paid $7.20 for. This is one of my favorite puzzle games of all time. I've always been a big fan of BustaMove, and here it has been ported to the Nintendo 64. If you're not familiar with the game, you shoot bubbles up the screen by aiming left or right. If you match at least 3 bubbles of the same color together, they will fall off, including anything attached below them. But if you run out of space and your bubbles hit the line at the bottom of the screen, then the game's over. On some of the game modes, when you lose and restart a level, it'll give you a handy guide to aim your shots. And you also have to be quick in some of the game modes as well, as the top of the stage will slowly come down and push your bubbles closer and closer to you and the line at the bottom of the screen. BustaMove has quite a variety of different game modes that you can play. You can play against another player or the computer in a head-to-head match. As you match and complete bubbles, it'll attack the other player and make things more difficult for them. There are also cue cutscenes after you beat each computer player and move on to the next one. Or you can play the puzzle mode, where you can select which path that you want to go down on the overworld map. You must complete the set of pre-made puzzles on the node that you selected in order to advance to the next group of puzzles on the map. There's also a time attack mode where you complete stages and try to get the quickest time possible to put your name on a high scoreboard. If you're a fan of puzzle games, you should definitely get this one. BustaMove is quite addicting and a lot of fun to play. Number 166 is Asteroids Hyper 64, which I paid $5.60 for. This game is a direct remake of the classic Asteroids game. You move around the screen and shoot at rocks and enemies just like the original game. Blowing up rocks breaks them into smaller pieces which fly off in their own directions. If your ship or an asteroid hits an edge of the screen, then it will wrap around and appear on the opposite side of the screen. You have various weapons and utilities at your disposal. Your ship comes equipped with a pea shooter gun, you can use your thrusters to glide around the screen, you have a shield that you can put up for a short period of time to save you from one-hit deaths, and you can teleport to random, unpredictable parts of the screen which often leads to your immediate death. There are also various power-ups floating around the screen that you can pick up. For example, you can get extra lives from some of these, or you can get mines that you can deploy out onto the screen to help you destroy the floating rocks. Asteroids Hyper 64 feels very repetitive, and the levels only get a little bit harder as you progress through them. It doesn't really bring anything new to the table in comparison to the original Asteroids game other than the updated graphics. You'll find it very hard to resist turning this game off after playing so many levels of the exact same thing. I can only recommend Asteroids Hyper 64 to those that absolutely love the original Asteroids game. Number 167 is Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, which I got for $6. So this game is an action-packed 3D game based on the ever-popular Power Rangers series. The game consists of 3 different episodes. Each episode sort of plays out like an episode of the Power Rangers show. There's not much story to each episode, it's pretty bare bones. You go rescue some kidnapped Power Rangers, beat up some bad guys, save some hostages, beat up more bad guys, save the Power Rangers again, and so on. It does, however, have some pretty cool looking comic cutscenes to keep the player engaged with the story. You'll see these cutscenes between each mission in the game. So each level is a mission with a certain task that you must do. You might be killing a certain number of enemies, destroying logs on a path, cleaning up toxic waste throughout the city, saving hostages in a subway station, driving vehicles on a road while putting out fires or saving hostages again, flying around the city saving people yet again, or fighting big baddies in your Megazord. Each level has their own objective, although they get pretty similar and repetitive after a while. The controls of the game are decent, but mostly of the button mashing variety. When walking around, you can shoot forwards or backwards. In your Megazord, you have both an attack and pointless shield, as you can take down any enemy by just spamming your attack at it over and over again until it dies without any worry of death. There's also an arena mode available, so you can play as your Megazord or any other big baddie from the game against another computer or human player. Across the board, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue is a very easy game and is just not difficult at all. There's pretty much no chance that you'll ever die if you have any skill at playing video games. That being said, it's an okay game. There's nothing challenging about it at all. I would only recommend picking up this game for a kid, as any competent player will be able to complete this game in just under 2 hours. So that's all I've got to show for this episode today. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up, as that always helps me out. If you have anything that you want to say about any of the 5 games that I showed you today, then be sure to leave a comment down below. And if you're new to the series, then be sure to subscribe so you can be notified of the next episode. And remember, you gotta get the power up to beat the game. That's no good.